All right, let's talk about a real secret weapon for all you Reaper users out there, the Hosi API 560. If you've ever struggled to get your tracks to sound truly polished, to really pop, well, this is for you. We're going to break down how this incredible plugin helps you literally sculpt your sound, taking it from a raw recording to a finished professional mix. Let's dive in.
So here's the big question, right? The one that keeps us producers up at night. You've laid down all these amazing parts, but when you put them all together, they just kind of fall flat. They don't have that punch, that clarity, that professional shine. Well, the answer, a lot of the time, is all about how you shape your sound. And today, we're going to show you exactly how to do it.
I want you to think about this plugin a little differently. It's not just another tool in your toolbox, it's more like a digital chisel. Seriously, we're not just twisting knobs here, we are quite literally sculpting sound waves. This is where the real art of mixing begins.
So what is the Hosi API 560? Well, it's modeled after a legendary piece of studio hardware, an absolute classic known for its incredible musicality. You get these 10 fixed frequency bands to play with, all the way from that deep sub-bass rumble at 31 Hz up to the sparkly, airy stuff at 16 kilohertz. But the real magic is in one very special concept. And here it is, proportional cue. Now, what does that mean? Think of it like a smart paintbrush. If you make a small, gentle boost, the brush is wide and soft. It just adds this beautiful, broad musical color. But if you make a big, aggressive boost, that brush automatically sharpens to a super fine point. It lets you get really surgical and carve out a very specific sound without messing up everything around it. It's just so powerful and honestly, a joy to use. Okay, theory's cool, but let's see this thing in action. We're gonna start with the most important part of pretty much any modern track, the rhythm foundation. I mean, if your drums and bass aren't heading right, the whole song is gonna feel weak. So let's tackle a super common problem.
Oh, we've all been there, haven't we? Your snare sounds absolutely perfect in solo, but the second you bring in the guitars, the synths, the vocals, poof, it just vanishes. It has no snap, no body, it just gets completely buried in the mix. So how do we fix this?
Well, the user guide for this plugin gives us a perfect starting point with a preset called Snare Snap. The trick is to come at the problem from a few different angles. First, you boost somewhere between 2 and 4K, that's where you get that satisfying crack of the stick hitting the drum head. Then you make a little cut, a surgical dip in the low mids to get rid of that cardboard box sound. And finally, you add a little boost down at 125 Hz to give it some weight, some body. It's just 3 simple moves and suddenly your snare is punching right through. All right, our rhythm section is feeling solid. Now let's move on to, for many songs, the star of the show, the vocals. Getting a vocal to sit just right in a busy mix, now that is a true art form. This is a philosophy that every great mix engineer lives by. Before you even think about boosting frequencies to make something sound better, you've got to clean things up first. It's like prepping a canvas before you start painting. You need a clean slate. And again, the user guide gives us this fantastic workflow. First, you can start with a preset like Vocal Clean, Demud. Next, and this is crucial, turn on the high-pass filter. This just slices off all that useless low-end rumble that your microphone picks up. Then, add just a touch of saturation, maybe 10 or 20%, for some nice analog warmth. We'll talk more about that in a sec. Now, here's the pro move. Switch the plugin into mid mode. This lets you EQ only what's in the center of your mix, your vocal, without messing with the stereo effects on the sides. Finally, flick on the auto gain. This keeps the volume level consistent, so you're making choices with your ears, not just because something got louder. Okay, let's talk about that secret sauce. That thing that takes a mix from being just clean and digital to feeling warm, glued together, and alive. This is where we stop just fixing problems and start adding real character. Kind of like a sculptor applying that final finish to their masterpiece. The saturation knob is your go-to for that analog color. If you use it subtly, it just adds these gentle, pleasing harmonics that kind of acts like glue for your mix. Push it into that middle range, and you get this really musical grit that can bring drums and bass to life. And if you crank it all the way, well, you get some awesome aggressive distortion that's perfect for creative sound design and special effects.
So, we've nailed the fundamentals. Now let's look at a couple of the more advanced features that really give you ultimate control. This is what turns the Hosi 560 from just a great EQ into a totally indispensable tool for mixing and even mastering. So what's up with this number? 200%. What could that possibly mean?
Well, it represents a feature that can literally double the power of every single move you make on this EQ. It's a tool for both the most delicate touches and the most extreme sonic mangling. This is the range control, and it is absolutely brilliant. Just think of it as a master intensity knob for your entire EQ curve. If you set it to 50%, it halves all your boosts and cuts, which is perfect for really subtle mastering grade adjustments. But if you crank it to 200%, you double everything. That massive 12 decibel boost you made suddenly becomes a whopping 24 decibels. It's just an incredible feature for creative sound design. And finally, we've got mid-side processing. Now, your standard stereo mode affects the left and right channels together, which is fine, but mid-side mode, it's a total game changer. It splits the audio into what's right down the middle, the mid, like your kick, snare, and lead vocal, and everything on the sides, like your wide guitars or stereo reverbs. It means you can add clarity to your vocal without making your reverbs harsh. It's like being able to clean up the living room without messing up the garden party happening outside. It's a key technique for getting those wide, clean, professional-sounding mixes.
So as you can see, the Hosi API 560 is so much more than just an EQ. It's a complete toolkit for shaping, coloring, and polishing your audio. It basically hands you the chisel and asks one simple question. Your sound is a sculpture, so what are you going to create first?